Hey guys, anyway, I'm Mark, and I'm a Christian minister. I've been ordained, and then I've also taken advanced studies in divinity and biblical history and biblical studies from different universities. And so, but the topic I wanted to talk to you about is this. Christians say that we have free will. But then the Bible made it very clear that man chooses his path, but God directs his footsteps. So if God leads your feet in another direction other than your path, is that truly free will? And also the argument that, well, things don't work out because the devil sabotaged it for me, or the devil made it come crashing down. Is that also free will? And I know that the idea, the devil's here to kill, steal, and destroy, but that same exact argument I have also seen flipped on its head, where it's, well, God just doesn't want to open that door for me, or God closed that door as not having an option to go through it because he has something different that I'm supposed to do. But you don't know what that supposed to do thing is. You just know that a door was closed. It doesn't seem to be working out. So is it devil or is it God that closed the door? And is that also free will? If God's able to close the door, is that free will? If God sabotaged your plan because it's not something he wanted you to do, is that free will? And is it also free will if the devil has the same ability to do the same exact thing? And is it free will if God directs your feet in different directions? Or is it more the fact that we're basically avatars and we're just being moved around on a game board wherever we are doing whatever we're doing, going to wherever we go and bumping into whoever we bump into, not of our own free will, but by what some people might call manifest destiny. But here's the thing about manifest destiny that I have also come to the conclusion. Even if manifest destiny was true, it only takes you so far. And only God takes you so far. God does not take you all the way. God does not take you all the way. And this is what I mean. Either by manifest destiny or by God, it or they only take you to a certain destination, and then it stops. None of the rest of it's done for you. And if you're going to reveal that destiny to yourself and you're going to discover who you truly are or what you're truly meant to do, destiny and God brought you to the crossroad. That's it. Then it's up to you to see that you're at the crossroad and then to move in the direction you're supposed to go. And if you don't, and your destiny doesn't become your destiny or revealed to you, then that's on you. Not God, but also not the devil, but also not manifest destiny, because they brought you to where you needed to be, and it was up to you to go the direction that you needed to go. And if you're not going to step through the door when you're standing in front of the door and open the door when the door is in front of your face, but instead be like, oh, I think I'm going to go to the left, or I think I'm going to go to the right, or I think I'm going to climb over this wall and see what's on top. And things happen to you in the process, consequences of your decisions, and other things that might lead you down other paths, and you feel like life is all chaotic. Was it because God did it, the devil did it, or manifest destiny did it, or was it because you did it to yourself? Now, God is real, of course. He's a real entity. He's does exist. But God also, likewise, is not a magic genie in a bottle. You just don't pray to him and poof, instantly all your sorrows and all your hurts and all your pains and all your struggle and trials and tribulation just instantly vanish and go away. It's not how it works, guys. And too often I think we have this picture that God's a genie and that poof, your wish be my command. And then bam, it's done for you. But this is not how God works and operates. And by divine right, the devil can't also operate and do things without the permission of God. This idea that the devil is a free agent making men sin and fall into debauchery and sins in rebellion to God, that's not true, because here's the fact of the matter is, if God is all powerful and almighty and all sovereign, as the Christians claim, then the fact of the matter is the devil cannot operate outside his sovereign authority and will. Therefore, the devil is an agent of God, not a freelancer, not a wild drop in the hat, but rather instead an agent. And why would he be an agent? Well, he'd be an agent for a couple reasons. One, he cannot escape God's sovereign authority. He was made by God, and he works for God. Because if you connect the logic that nothing is outside God's will and God permits it, then God has a contract with the devil to allow it to happen in the first place. And I know that might be interesting to think about, or like, whoa, buddy, whoa. But the fact of the matter is, it's true. Nothing happens in this world without a spiritual contract written by God. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Because everything is in God's sovereignty. Everything is in God's will, including your own life. If God knows every hair on your head, and he knows everything about you since the beginning, and he wove you and knitted you inside your mother's womb, and he knows the end from the beginning and the beginning from the end, he also has contract with you, you know. And what I mean by contract is you don't do anything freely, truly freely. There's contract attached. And there's one way to fulfill the contract, that on the end you will be a good and recognized servant. But on the other hand, there's another way on the contract to be recognized as unsatisfactory. You didn't meet the conditions of the contract. Your contract has been terminated. And, well, I think you know where that is going, right? That's either reward or punishment, heaven or hell. You get to choose that contract. But these are something that people need to think about. Something people need to really, really think about, because it can't be both ways. It can't be that I have free will, but then God chooses my steps for me. If God chooses any step for me whatsoever, and points my feet in the direction on which he wants me to go versus what I had planned for myself, then that is not free will. That is not the ability to operate freely. And nor is it the ability to operate freely if he is also able to sabotage or shut doors or destroy things, because in his sovereign will he didn't want me to do those things. And it's also the same if the devil destroys it for you. So, do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Is this ability, this concept of free will, it has to be re-examined. It has to be re-looked at. Because free will means that I have the ability to go anywhere, do anything. But it also means that I take the blunt of the fall when things don't work out, because it was my decisions. I have to accept my consequences for those decisions. It also means that when things go good or when things go bad, I'm awarded for those things, both good or bad. And it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with divine intervention. And so this is what I believe. I believe God is real, but I don't necessarily believe at this point that we have the correct understanding of God. I believe that there's a maker of everything. I believe that's the reason why we're conscious. I believe that's where consciousness comes from. I believe that when the Bible says he breathed the breath of life into us, I don't interpret that as a literal breath of life. I don't believe he just breathed air into us and boom, we became alive. But what I do believe is he used the breath of life, which was consciousness, and we became fully aware, fully autonomous, and fully conscious species, a creation, because he gave us the spark of consciousness. But I don't think we necessarily have it right, like humans don't have it right. And the reason why I say this is because I believe God's too big, too powerful, too almighty to be confined to only a few scriptures in the Bible, and then for him to never talk to his people again, and the canon be closed, and all these other things that the church might be teaching, I think is also false. I think God still talks to people today. In fact, the Bible says that he appears to men in the midnight hours, and he speaketh into them and seals up their instruction. So God's still talking to his people. And also, this idea that people can't be prophets or whatever today because of whatever your particular background and belief is also, I think, false. Because if God's never stopped talking to you and he has a message and he chose to use you divinely and he sealed up your instruction in the midnight hour, is that not God choosing you as a prophet, to be used as a prophet, to go into the world and preach? So I don't believe God's story is over. And I feel like oftentimes us as Christians believe, well, it was over 2,000 years ago. No, I think 2,000 years ago was the start of things. Even though there were things going on before that time period, all around the world. But when I closely examine ancient texts, modern texts, letters written and archives written that are in the Vatican libraries and archival records, and I look at all the evidences, I believe God is still very much present in the world. I just think that we don't truly have the real understanding of who he really is or how he truly operates. We might have some documents, some evidences, but I still think it is very vague and very undocumented on who he truly really is. We might have a knowledge of God, and God may have intervened in the human past. But I believe he's so much bigger and so much more than we've ever cared to ever even begin to imagine. But when you bring these things out and you talk about these things and you say these type of things, then you're a hypocrite. You are blaspheming. You're on a one-way ticket to hell town and all this other stuff. And actually, I also know that hell does not exist in the Old Testament or in the New Testament. Nowhere is it biblical. It was actually an invention that later entered its way into biblical cosmology in the early Middle Ages, and that was a fabrication of the Middle Ages time period. And we know this for a fact. It's absolutely provable and linguistically provable. So this concept that you're going to go to hell, that's another thing that I had, so anyways, I could go on and on about different stuff, but I just wanted to make this video. Do we clearly have free will, or are we more of pawns being played on the board? When you examine the Bible closely, it seems to suggest that we are pawns on the board. And that's all I wanted to say for this video. Leave your thoughts and comments below.